Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm joined again by Howard for what used to be Wing Wednesdays, but this is going to be a new segment called
Winners Wednesdays.
Winners Wednesdays. For those of you who don't know, me and Howard used to talk about business stuff on the Wing Wednesdays, the business of the wedding industry and running a wedding business, as well as the filmmaking stuff. But that sort of evolved into the online course which we do, the Wedding Videography Business course. And so for this new segment, Winners Wednesdays, we're going to be joined by past members of current members of the course, just to share their experiences of how they joined up and where they've gone from there, and tips and advice for you guys as well. So
well, yeah, we're kicking off, and this is quite cool for this guy. He's the first person we're going to interview. Introducing Mr. Christian Ainsley from Ainsley Films. And Christian's perfect for this because he's actually got a really interesting story. So he came onto our training as soon as we launched it 2 years ago now, was it, Adam?
2020, yeah.
2020, as soon as we launched it. And what's interesting with Chris, he didn't do anything for the first year. He bought the course. Did you even look through the videos? Did you just literally leave it? Or?
Yes. So I just left it at first and thought I need to do something with this course at some point, but it was just that sort of a bit of resistance that I came across at first.
So something was kind of stopping, holding you back, taking them initial steps to actually get going. I mean, we know there's a lot of inspiration stuff within the course which gives you motivation to do it, but there was just something stopping you.
It is.
And then all of a sudden you were like, I'm going to do it.
And it's that lockdown thing. It says, I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to do something a little bit different. But actually, so I sort of had all the resources, and then I actually just sort of needed to sort of, I don't know, take the bull by its horns and just sort of do it. But ultimately, I was coming against this resistance constantly. So I actually did the business section before I did the videography section, which is so counterintuitive in terms of what I was doing, but I needed that sort of motivation. So yeah.
Just to pause you there a second. So, as far as your history prior to the course, had you done any film work before? Did you have a camera? Were you doing anything originally, or was it a brand new thing for you?
So I reached out to my wedding videographer. So when I got married, and sort of I knew that it was something that I wanted to sort of get into, but I was sort of dabbling with the idea, and I thought your guys' course was absolutely brilliant in terms of providing me that structure and that level of resource that I could sort of take forward and sort of actually start a business out of it and start to monetize it.
I think that's really important, isn't it? And I've said this for years. I mean, you were obviously very lucky, but for me, when I first started in the wedding industry, there was nobody to tell me or guide me or where to do my marketing or just there was nothing, you know. And when obviously me and Adam got together, we realised we've got something quite special.
Well, I learned from you, and the course is basically everything that you told me that still holds true today as it did then, because it's more core principles as opposed to fads and social media and trends.
Yeah.
It's more philosophies. And it worked for me just as well as it's worked for everyone else that's took the course, and then obviously we've just applied the videography on top of that.
Yeah, and it's that sort of step-by-step level. Do this then, do that then, do that then.
So was it, just to go back, was it lockdown then for you that made you go, I'm going to give this a go?
Yeah, there was something that I needed to do that I realised that said, I'm not getting anywhere on my own. Looking, and you know, you can look and you say, oh, I'll create an Instagram account. I'll start to try and reach out to people and see if they want some films. But I think I needed that structure during lockdown to say, do X, do Y. This is your homework modules that we have on. So yeah. I just made sure that when I eventually got to doing the course, that I did every single one.
Good.
Because we're big on the accountability on that. There's like, on the course, there's homework. There's obviously like, here's the philosophies, but here's a little task to go and do. Yeah. And
just putting all the little cogs together, but they've got to be kind of in order-ish. Obviously, the first step is learning the filmmaking skills, which is what you're so good at. And then when you've got that, it's the business side. And
there's a lot of stuff that like actual technical business stuff, like making a website and registering your business and things that people don't necessarily think they've even got to do or would know where to start.
And that's it. And I think there's that in certain instances there's that much to do, and you can. I guess, overstimulate yourself in saying there's so much to do that you become blinded by it all.
And a bit overwhelmed, I imagine.
Exactly, so you don't do anything. So having that step by step, which says, I'm going to do, lesson 1, and then you'll write it down, and then, and then feed that into the business side of it, it gives you that sort of, you see the little percent complete on the course, and you think, right, okay, I'm going to work through this now, and, and break it up, and,
You say that, then it's great, but it took you a year to get to that point before you even opened it.
It did.
Why?
Well, I think this is a really interesting point for anybody who has got our course or even thinking of getting the course. It's like knowing about that moment where he decides to go, I'm going to do it now, and there's no going back, and that's it. So talk me through that process that reignited you, if you like, to actually go out and start implementing, doing everything. I know I was involved in it a little bit, but...
It's one of them. So I probably overthought it, and you always do. So you get something and you think, right, this is going to be great, it's going to change my life. And I overthought about it. I thought, I need a new camera before I even start. I need a laptop before I even start. I need to get all of this kit before I even start. And I actually realised I didn't even have, hadn't even made a video, but I had all this kit. So
it's procrastination, isn't it?
Exactly. So I did everything but what I was meant to be doing. So there comes a point where you need to start holding yourself accountable. And my wife, Beth, she was absolutely fundamental in that, which sort of said, what are you actually doing with this? You've spent this money on a course, you've got all this camera stuff, what are you doing? And I thought, I'm dabbling, So exactly. So I'm dabbling. In which case, I sat down and I think the pro goes to work. So you need to sit down, do the work, and just overcome that resistance that everyone gets when they, when they start to do something new. Because it's very easy to sort of quit at like 10% the way through things and go, this is difficult, and or I don't know, I got turned down by a couple, or I got turned down by a venue, but you just got to keep ploughing through it.
Perfect. So you got reignited to really give it a go, and that was about a year after you got the course. You had all the kit there.
So the story here is I'd done borderline nothing, had a fancy camera, a load of stuff, and hadn't got a website. I did a style shoot with you guys, which I thought was really good, learnt loads. Shout out to Neil Redfern. Did a great job in terms of, just actively filming. But then, I remember, I think it was like a Friday morning, I got a text message from yourself, Howard, and it said, have you got a minute to have a phone call? And I hadn't spoken to you in a while. I think we'd just been doing the online the lives on Facebook on the course, which is absolutely brilliant. And sort of I was watching but not really actively engaging, but watching everyone else getting involved. And then really, he said, I've got a gig for you. Have you got a website? Have you got a film? I'd actually got to the point of I'd filmed the styled shoot, but I hadn't edited it. So that so it was getting to the point of, right, well, I'm not ready. So it was really funny because my wife grabbed the phone off me and said, yes, I'll do it.
So she replied on your behalf.
Exactly.
This is why you need a good wife.
I know. At which point, what does that do? That then holds me accountable. So,
well, you had to do it then, didn't you?
Yeah.
And everything's, if you just, what's the phrase like? Just say yes and figure it out later. I'm sure there's some kind of phrase around that, but that idea of just once you've said yes, you there's no hiding. You've got to get going, haven't you?
I think so. I think like you were saying as well. So many people wait until they think they're ready to go and do it. But you'll only be ready to do it when you've actually gone and started to do stuff.
You're never going to be ready, are you?
You're never going to be ready if you're waiting all the time for the perfect website. Because you're not out of the film, you're not gaining that experience. But it's daunting, I imagine, at the start. And it was for me for my first couple of weddings. I'm sure it was for you as well. But just getting out there, and I think once you finally get out there and you get into it, you get a flush of inspiration and you want more of it, don't you? Yeah, and then you realise, obviously, how much money you can make doing it and the life it can lead to. So that's what happened then. You got a text from me, and then you said yes, and then the rest is history,
once you'd done your first wedding, was that the kickstart you needed?
That's it. So so I was really lucky, but had a really good wedding for my first wedding. Involved with yourself.
I remember seeing the video actually, and I was like really impressed for your first one. It was really cool.
Yeah. And it was. You're in an environment that everyone's dead happy, having such a good time. You're involved in it. It's you're capturing people being happy, and as I say, you're getting paid to do that and have a really good day, which then sort of says you've got that momentum then. So you go from your first wedding and you think, I want more of this, and then you go to your next one and your next one, and it's sort of, you become hungry to like get weddings in, and then you actually then flip back to the course and you go, actually, I'm here. I need to go and do X, Y, and Z to take me to that next step.
So that's probably a good question to ask, isn't it? So when you got that inspiration, you got out there and you think, right, I'm going to make this work. You went back to the course. What would you say, what are some real key features in the course that really helped you in that moment? And what sort of is anything there helping you now as you're moving forward almost a year on?
I bet it's all Howard stuff as well. It won't be anything to do with it. It'll be all business side, won't it?
No, well, I guess...
I would say no. There's always a technique to learn in the filming side.
Go on then, no, sorry, I'll let you answer.
It's really funny actually you say this. So there's been times before weddings that I've gone back and looked at your sections on the course and you think... And then it's sort of that like self-doubt that you think, actually, I'm looking at the training module before I actually go and film a wedding. But it's because it's at such a sort of like an easy to understand level, but then also it's absolutely fundamentals of filmmaking. So I'll go and look at some of the sections in your course and go, okay, so how do I want to film a little bit differently today in order to either make it easier in the edit or to improve the quality of my film? So I do go back and have a look at your sections, but then in terms of, back to the original question, Howard, around how do I sort of take it to that next level? So it's you'll film a wedding and then you think, right, how do I sort of move this forward? Well, there's the section in the course around sort of venues and targeting ideal venues near yourself. And I think that's been really a strong point of mine personally in terms of creating the relationships with venues. So picking up the phone, it's really hard for people to say no on the phone. Okay, so when you ring them up and say, please can I come to your next wedding fair, or I'll offer you some free footage. It's a really interesting dynamic which says this guy's ringing me up, proactively ringing me up, and the venue doesn't have to go and hunt for their suppliers. I'm coming to you and offering you something for free in return for some experience and sort of a stall at your next wedding fair. And I think that's been really important for, I guess.
Has that been one of the biggest driving forces of your business, with that relationship with the venues, getting on the wedding fairs? And Absolutely. So having the clear relationships with like the venues, what that means is every time someone comes for a wedding or books a wedding, you get put in a brochure and you're their recommended supplier. So it's just social proofing again, isn't it? Which sort of gives people that. It's great. It really is good. And I really want to touch on that because I'm a big advocate, and I know I go over it in the training, and I've gone out with loads of the students. They're so scared to pick up the phone, and I find it. Maybe it's a filmmaker thing. I don't know. Maybe because they're introverted quite often. Don't want to do that. But God, if you can do that and just train yourself to not even think, just pick up. Don't think, just do.
You can learn it, can't you? You just practice ringing people. It's like it's a learned skill. It's not something that you've either got or you haven't. You can learn it, and that for anyone watching is such a good tip because
it's a massive takeaway without a doubt. It stands you above everybody else.
Won't do it, and you look at, as you were saying like before, you look at a venue and you go, oh, they've already, and they might have done a post and tagged a videographer, and then you look at that and go, they've already got a videographer. I've got no chance. I'm just getting started. I might as well not even bother. And then you put that fear block.
You put that wall up, don't you?
And so, just ringing them. It sounds like the most simplest thing in the world, but it would have never occurred to me if you hadn't have told me to do it. And I think it's a great thing in the course. And obviously, if it's something that's stuck with you as a standout tip,
I think the thing with your world, I mean, everybody's at a really good standard with the filmmaking. and they've got gorgeous.
Well,
They've got great Instagrams with technology,
it's
the videos, the films. They're at really good standards. So we've always talked about this. What else can you do to stand up above everybody else? If the films are the same, Instagrams are looking all nice and sexy, everyone's got a good website. What other things can you do to stand out? And just picking the phone up and talking to someone is one of those things. There's not many people going to do it. Out of 100 filmmakers, you might find 3 or 4 that would actually go and do that. You've got a better chance of getting that gig or getting that really good relationship with the venue. And I've always said it right from the start, even visiting places, dropping in, you know, offering them free stuff, bringing a sample of your work or whatever, just doing something that other people don't do is a way you can, you can win.
So chatting to venues, what has that got you onto wedding fairs or got you onto
recommended suppliers list? So wedding fairs are absolutely brilliant because you get a free you get free exposure to other suppliers face to face. Again, hard for them to say no when they're tagging you in things and stuff like that and recommended. If a photographer, for example, gets to meet you and you're really nice to them and you get a really good relationship and bond, they're much more likely to recommend you. So I think that's really important. I think
it's networking, isn't it? And especially from the photographer's point of view, because I'll know this when I recommend other suppliers. I'm not really, to an extent, bothered about the quality of the work. Obviously, if I'm going to recommend someone to a couple, then I want to know the work's good, because I wouldn't recommend them to a couple because that looks bad. Yeah. But I'm equally as interested in whether they're actually going to be a nice person to work with. Yeah. So obviously from a client point of view, you want your films to look really nice and impress them. But from a supplier to supplier relationship, you just want them to be good people to work with, don't you?
I think that's the thing with wedding fairs, and I know I've said it many times in the past. You do a wedding fair. You're not there to take a booking.
Not necessarily. Yeah.
If you get one, great. But it's all about building relationships with all the suppliers in the room, but also the venue, the people running it. You know, because they'll get to see you, how good you are chatting to people. They'll get confidence that they can recommend you to their future, brides and grooms in the future. So it ticks so many boxes. You think you're going there to sell your services, but you're not. It's the opposite way around. It's like reverse psychology.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big standout points of the course for you. The
venues,
networking,
the wedding fairs,
the communication with venues.
That's it. Just it's about getting out there. So making yourself seen. So as he said, there's a lot of people, a very good in a very sort of competitive market. But ultimately, if you can set yourself aside. In terms of getting out there with couples, going back to wedding fairs. So, if you've got a stall at wedding fair, you get a chance to have an initial meeting with a couple. The way I see it is in sort of you're speaking to them, you're telling them about what you do, and it's a really positive thing around. If you can't get them on the phone or you don't get many inquiries, well, you've got to go out and find them, and that's the thing that I think has been really important for me and sort of sped me up and make sure that first year wasn't wasted. Was actually okay. I need to outwork it now in terms of everyone else has had a year on me. What do I need to do now?
Yeah.
Smash the wedding fair.
It's amazing how quick you say caught up. No, it's amazing how fast you've been able to get to that level where you could, if you want to leave your job, because you are still working, but you don't have to work. I think this is. Yeah. How cool is that, knowing that you can leave that because we've got the income here now? Exactly. It's one of the benefits of this business, without a doubt.
So, how from that, like once you got going, and like how did the first year look then? So this was back end of 2021, 2020.
Right at the end of 2021, when you had the boot.
How's the last year been then from that?
Absolutely crazy, but in a good way. So it's one of them that you've walked. So I did my first few weddings at the back end of last year, and from then it becomes an absolute whirlwind of inquiries. So weddings breed weddings. I think you say this on the course, and the more you get, it's like a positive multiplier. That you suddenly get these inquiries, and you've got content to post, and then venues then reach back out to you, and it's like, wow, this is really good.
Chaos.
Exactly, but you've got to at the same time you shouldn't let it run away with you and start keep feeding it. And that's important.
You've got to keep doing it. You can't just rest on your laurels once it starts coming in.
No, so how I think what's been really important is I've held myself accountable every week to, whether it's post on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, reach out to wedding venues, just keep in touch, and make sure I'm feeding it. In terms of how it's gone then over the last year, so done.
How many weddings have you done?
27 weddings.
27.
So when you
in year one.
In year one.
Which, by the way,
Yeah.
is amazing
Wow.
to go from 0 to 27 in 1 year.
Yeah, it's
That even
Mental.
beats your record. Probably.
it's
Brilliant.
it's really interesting that I've and I've done a variety of weddings. So from multicultural weddings to sort of ones down the road to ones down south, all over. I've got a destination wedding next year booked.
Nice.
So it's like, wow,
It's
this
great
is
for portfolio because you can show off a
variety.
of stuff
variety.
to appeal to different markets.
and then from a
cultures.
selfish point of view, it's really interesting.
Very cool.
It's cool. Do you know what I mean? Like, you get
because
to see loads of-
it's not the same thing every single week.
Exactly.
It's quite diverse, which is really cool. Like Adam, you're away in Ireland next year. I've been there this year. Cornwall, Scotland next week, and it just keeps you interested in what you're doing.
Do you know, just as a side point to that, I've seen more of England and the UK through doing weddings than I ever would in my entire life.
Oh yeah, me too.
So
Yeah.
I've just gone holiday to Spain and left the country, but I've seen so much of the UK
Yeah.
that I've fallen in love with different good counties and towns.
And how many times you drive
Cool.
past and be like, I need to come here with the family, or
it's really cool.
it's
So
broadened your horizons for sure.
27 weddings first year.
Yep.
Is there a specific turning point where you went, okay, this is happening, like this is taking off? Because I mean,
So
I would say that has taken off big time.
Yeah,
like,
it has, yeah.
fast,
So-
so
It's really weird that you and this was what I found really, I guess, good around wedding fairs. So when people go to wedding fairs, I found personally that they're going to get them last final few touches, or they've just booked the wedding.
Yeah.
What that means is you can either book a wedding for a couple of years' time or book a wedding for 2 months' time. And that's where a lot of mine came through, which says people don't always think about a videographer first. It's the photographers out there that, get the first dibs. Yeah. So with that, people go, oh, videographer, Christian, they've not seen anyone else, you're here, social proofing. And then ultimately, you just get that, okay, yeah, let's book. Yeah. And, if you offer good value for money and they've got a little bit spare, there you go.
And you've
27
had that
weddings
initial
later.
meeting with him, and I've always said to all my couples who actually book me for my services, we talk about filmmaking and photography. I say, look, have 2 or 3 or 4 people that you really like the work of, book the one you get on with the most.
Yep.
You're only going to know if you get on with them if you chat to them. Sometimes people don't want to have a phone call, but they'll see you on a wedding fair, so you get that particular couple.
it's the same as the venue conversation before about ringing up suppliers.
Exactly,
and venues.
yeah. And it goes the same
A
with the
lot
bride and
of
groom.
videographers don't like to speak to or meet in person the clients. They just like to do stuff over email. But you're straight away at an advantage if you're willing and asking to meet the couple. If they've inquired over email and you want to meet up with them, then they get to see you face to face. You get to learn if you're going to click and get on with each other, and then they feel more comfortable with the idea of having you at the wedding. So it makes, and if you can get that at a wedding fair, and you've already met them and had that conversation, they go, "Do you know, he was nice and his films are good," because we've since been on his website.
And before that, they didn't know they wanted to have a wedding film. And it's not it's not cheap. It's quite an expensive investment. And all of a sudden they completely turn. I like that guy. His films are great. What a great guy! Be having the wedding. What is it? Yeah, go on, we'll do it. It's
a lot of my feedback that I get is, we're really happy with the film, but what a nice guy.
Yeah.
And that's like, he was great on the day. We've not even seen the video yet, but we know he was amazing.
This is why it's so important that you meet them and you get to like you.
As videographers just think, it's like the films have got to be good, because that's what matters. But to bride and groom, they are more interested in how you're going to fit in on the day.
Well, our last wedding...
the video's nice, but he was great on the day.
Our last wedding is the perfect example for that. Because Johnny was there and you were there, and obviously I'd done my thing, I'd already done my performance. And the bride come over and said, "Oh, Adam, you've been so good. Oh, you're brilliant." And I started to go, You haven't even seen his video yet. We all laughed, you know.
Yeah.
And it's because they're saying great things about it even before they've seen the film because they like you, they got on with you.
To the point
and they're happy that you're there, you know.
Oh yeah, we're still getting a video, aren't we? Like, you think that that's it done? They've paid me just to turn up and stand around.
Yeah. So that relationship with the client is so important.
I still think, to your point, video is in a really unique position in terms of the different suppliers in the industry, because we might get booked at the start with photographer and couples might prioritise it, but also there's still a lot that will just go last minute and go, do you know what, we've not got a video, there's a bit of money left over, because there's like, we're either right at the start or we're right at the end, and there's not, like, florists and photographers and all that are always going to be at the start.
Yeah.
And it's getting more that way with video, but you're still going to always get people that just go last minute, it's a luxury. And you can tag on. So what you're saying is that a lot of those bookings from this year have been couples that have not got anyone and gone, oh yeah, everyone's booked up and you're here, you're free, we'd love to have you.
And that's I guess that's the beauty of, and that's probably why I've done so many this year. And it's the beauty of sort of starting out, you know, like yourself when you sort of text me, it's for last minute. Are you free next week? Yes, I am. So
great.
So then, have you then also, or you've done a lot in the last year, but has that led to, you know, how's bookings looking for next year and moving forward and stuff?
Yeah, so so next year looks good, 26 in.
One abroad as well?
One abroad, destination wedding.
That's cool.
Fantastic. Where is that? Just, come on.
Sorrento.
Sorrento.
Just in Sorrento.
Very nice.
That's so good.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for that.
And that looks cool, and it's nice to be experienced.
Get the drone shots out, it'll be great.
Those abroad weddings, they're so good for marketing, social media purposes.
I think people just think...
And the whole...
Oh, he's a jet setter. He's like so rock and roll. He goes all over the place. Wow. My videographer flies all over the world. And people love that. Brides love that. Yeah. So that's brilliant. Another busy year, looks like.
Another busy year, and I think it's I guess what's been really good is now that I've got that momentum from the course, I can then start to choose, focus where I sort of spend my energy. So you know, it might not be, you know, just blasting a load of stuff out on Instagram. It might be
you can start to tailor your marketing now.
Exactly. So tailoring marketing, and then tailoring my energy to, as you say, sort of still working in my job, tailoring my energy into certain venues. These are the places that I want to work, or I want to work, or you know, I want to be more destination wedding focused, and that might be something that I want to do. And just where I am in my life allows me to sort of do that and sort of aim accordingly.
That's really good, because I mean, at the start, you're hell for leather, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're out there, you're wanting
anything.
You know, you're taking names and numbers, you're out there, you're rushing, and that's good, you need to do that. But there comes a point where you think, and you can do it, you know, very easily. You can tailor where you take those bookings, where you do your marketing to. I want to be in these venues, keep relationships good with those guys. I want to do more destinations, but let's be posting that. Let's SEO for that purpose only, or let's go down different routes.
So do you think
it's fab?
You'll still use the stuff from the course, like you're gonna?
Absolutely, you still do. So
because I would say, you know, it's always there for you. Go back to it. And I suppose the advice is just to keep, you know, don't rest on your laurels and keep topping up your knowledge and your, you know, you can. There's always new stuff to learn. Or
you're absolutely right. What more do you need?
Refocus, realign yourself, you know.
There's not much. So I look at it in terms of like the course being a complete package, right? And you've got to think, what more do you need than that? And everyone will go, oh, do I need to do a different course or this course?
I think what we did with it was we wanted to make it timeless. We didn't want it to be faddy or trendy or the latest Instagram hashtag used. It's fundamental core business strategies for this industry, but that'll last a lifetime. Without a doubt,
you're absolutely right. And from the filmmaking point of view, again, you know, you're taking sort of what sort of Hollywood films are based upon, making them simple, and therefore, you know, you can just take them forward, and they're not going to go out of date, as you say. It's what's really like sort of quite securing to me is, and why I actually purchased the course was actually say, you guys have done it. You know, sort of exponential growth for yourself, Adam. Howard, you've been sort of in the industry for ages in terms of, and that success from you two has actually said, I want a bit of that.
Yeah, it's only.
There's so many people that create courses.
Reiteration of what
because they want to create courses.
Create courses.
They might have been in the industry a year or two or three and think, I think I can do a course now, but oh god, it's 20 years for me in the industry. And probably 7 or 8 years in the industry.
It's just like you say, it's just fundamentals of marketing and videography that like you get the basics right and you deliver it behind a nice persona, make people like you. It's not rocket science.
No, but at the same time, I think what it does is it opens doors to other filmmakers. So the group on Facebook's absolutely fantastic. So,
we've built a real network community.
And there's people chucking in recommendations, and all different sorts of budgets, and and it just creates that little community, which also builds your confidence as well to say, actually, you're not the only person in this boat. There's a bit of a sort of a network out there that you can reach into. Yeah,
and there's no question too silly, too small, or too big.
No.
People are asking all sorts. What about this colour grade? And what about this? And what I find with the Facebook group, so that's my point. What I find quite a lot with the Facebook group is it is quite filmmaking orientated with the questions, isn't it?
Yeah, but a lot of them at the point where they just help each other now, which is quite nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they've made friends for life out of it.
And
it's cool.
People make you successful. I always say, if you get around the right people, and certainly with the course, everybody's on this. They're in the same boat. They're all in the same industry.
Same goals.
Same
motivation. So
fab.
You surround yourself with each other, and then you all push each other to do well. It's cool. Yeah.
Well, I think we're not far off wrapping up, but I think we need to get a couple of takeaways from you. So, what would you say to anybody new coming into the industry, or the wanting to get involved? What maybe 2 or 3 little things has been paramount in creating the success that you've had that you could recommend to anybody else thinking of getting into the industry? What 2 or 3 little key points? Well, we know one of them anyway, which is get something to kick up the arse and get you going. But anything else?
No, and that's it. So hold yourself accountable, and in terms of if you can't hold yourself accountable, get someone else to do it for you. So you just mentioned there, nice, so get wife, husband, whatever to sort of press you and make sure that you are actually
good at that, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Pretty good at that.
in terms of going out and doing something. The other thing is it's a bit sort of philosophical, but like there's other people out there that are less qualified, charging more and doing more than you, and you sat back and you're against this resistance. So I guess don't be scared, I think, and that's what sort of stopped me, and it sort of made me that little bit more. Once you're out there and you get that momentum, it's just
snowballs.
It just snowballs.
So don't worry about the fear.
Don't worry about the fear.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, hold yourself accountable.
What is the worst that can happen? Well,
that's it.
They don't answer your call.
They don't answer your call.
They say no, we've already booked.
You get 10 likes instead of 20 on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Just put it out there, and then eventually it'll pull. You know what I mean? It'll pull through, and it's been
accountability.
A great... Yep.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be scared. Just try it.
Oh, nice.
Maybe one last little takeaway.
Buy the course.
Buy the course. It's not about that, but
no, but it is.
We didn't tell him to say that.
No, but it's one of them that I think.
I think the thing is there is get training, get good training, so you're on the right.
Investing in education training is a really good piece of advice, though. It doesn't have to be ours. Just something be actively wanting to learn.
I put you on loads of courses when you in that first year. So you need to go on this course, this course, and you did it.
I credit a lot of my early success and ongoing success to 2 or 3 courses that I did, because it was worth way more than the lens that I bought, for the same amount of money. But what spent X amount on this lens or X amount on this workshop, what was more instrumental in booking me the next 20 weddings?
The workshop.
It's funny. You see people that come at university and they've got £50,000-60,000 in debt to then step into a job that's probably not guaranteed, where they're working 9 to 5 for the rest of their life until they retire at 65. A nice part, and you can learn something somewhere else for not a lot of money, and you can go out there and create a brilliant career for yourself. Not just this industry, in any industry, in the business world. We're living in great times for that now, aren't we?
Amazing.
Because years gone by, it was like that was the path, wasn't it? Get
Yep.
good grades, go to college, go to university, get yourself in debt, get a job, get a mortgage, get a wife, get a child, retire at 65, and then enjoy your
Play
life
golf.
then.
Yeah.
You know, but what's more enjoyable than doing weddings all around the country, meeting great people, and having a great work environment? It's just
You don't have to do
brilliant.
a job you hate anymore, do you? In
No.
today's world, so
There's so much opportunity, you know.
what's not to love about filming weddings?
Yeah, I think
It's good fun.
it's exciting because you get to meet great people, and I think probably the other takeaway is just reach out to people. Just ask, I think, in terms of go to a photographer and say, hiya, really like your work, if you do, you know, be honest and just say, you know, I'm new to the industry, if you have any couples that need a videographer for free, you know, at first, go and do a couple of free weddings, or, you know, or a discounted rate.
About shadowing them, or
shadowing, anything like that. Just experience. And a lot of them will say, yeah, because they're really nice people.
And if they say no, well, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Move on to the next one.
Move on to the next one. Yeah.
Mate, it's great to see how well you're doing, honestly. It really is.
So good.
Thank you, guys.
Really, really.
Yeah, you're
love to
welcome,
watch
mate.
the
It's,
journey. And Ainsley Films,
Yeah.
Instagram will be at
Ainsley Wedding Films.
Give me a follow, Ainsley Films. And yeah, we can't wait to see where you go from here. And thanks for coming on.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
That was the first Winners Wednesday, and let us know in the comments what you thought of that. And we intend to interview more members of our course just to get those stories and motivation and tips on how to go from beginning to creating a successful business as Christian has. So let us know if you want to see more of this. We like doing it.
Are we signing off?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.